Welcome to the Real FFL podcast, episode 1. This is all about our new Dynasty salary cap fantasy football league. The name of the league can be changed and probably will be changed at some point. Once we get everyone in, we'll vote on all that. But Logan and I wanted to record this podcast real quick to just go over the basic outlines for how this game works, what we're thinking, how it's going to play out. Just to listen to it. I also included some links in the email I sent over. Plan is to have this podcast. This is the official league, so we plan on having this podcast analysis throughout the season.
Year round.
This is a year-round league, and we're going to be looking at all that stuff when we get into the off season. We'll be talking about who's going to be free agents, who's the top ad, future rookie drafts, scouting, all the good stuff. So why don't we get into it, Logan? So first thing to call out here, this is unlike a classic, dynasty or keeper league, as there is this salary cap component worked in. So
ESPN, I'm sure Yahoo does not have it, but ESPN specifically would not have something like this.
I don't believe so. They might just have like a regular, like you have a cap, but it's not like multi-year contracts and the complexity. This game was designed to be like you're an actual GM of a football team. I mean, we're gonna have franchise tags. You're gonna have rookie options on contracts and extensions, multi-year contracts. If you cut people, you have cap hits and the way it accelerates against the cap. There's all that different stuff factored in here. Trading draft picks and rookie drafts, all of that.
Very in-depth.
Yeah, so we're going to have 12 teams. Hopefully everyone replies to the email and says they're in. Each league owner is going to pick their team name. It needs to be a U.S. city, Andy, and a mascot.
What did he, like the Himalayas? Is that where that was?
The Malayan Chevro trains or something. We want this to actually be legit. Every different league, you get to come up with the weird names or players on your team, funny names or whatever. We're kind of looking at it like this is an actual franchise. So my team is the Waco Wolfpack. Woo!
I'm not even...
Yeah, it's kind of a Ric Flair woo. I was trying to go for
I don't know why you wouldn't go Wombats.
No, man, Wolfpack. I'm expecting my logo to be like NWO Wolfpack is what I'm thinking here. So That's part of why we're doing that. Our graphic design guy, once we have all the teams, which is Andy, who's already we're yelling at for picking the wrong name, we're going to design logos for each team. And then ultimately, when we get our championship belt, the belt's going to be like an actual like pro wrestling, like legit, like leather belt, gold plated. And we can get actual plates for the winner. So like the belt in the middle will be the same. And then on the sides, you can put in little circular nameplates. It'll be the logo of your team on there. So it's going to be like pretty legit.
Wait, so every team will be on there?
No, the winner.
Or just the winner?
Yeah, the winner. Oh. So we'll get the nameplates created with the logo for the winning team. So you'll have the championship belt, which the middle of it is like, whatever our logo is for the league.
Yeah.
And then on the sides of the belt, there's nameplates.
How large is this belt?
It's like legit, man.
Wait, have you seen one before?
Yeah. Like it's like a real, it's like 4-carat gold-plated belt. Like a legit championship belt.
Man, that's going to look really good.
Like if you hit someone in the head with it, you might bust them open. Like legit. So
I look forward to having it.
Now in the league rules, we do have that every 2 years, a league owner may request to relocate their team. They can pick a new city and a name. That must be approved by 8 of the 12 league members to pass.
So
let's talk more about
overseas, like London expansion.
I don't want to spend too much time on that. Let's talk about the actual rules in general of how this is going to work. So we're starting with a cap of about $198 million. It's the actual NFL cap. Just like the NFL, the cap each season will probably increase. Normally it could be, like 5% increase. The the way that we're going to start this, we'll start with a rookie draft. So everyone who's a rookie currently in the NFL, it's weird because we're starting mid-season. Yeah. So the plan is like we're ultimately going to have to get 2 drafts done. We're going to start, we want to start week 7, have an 8-week season, and then playoffs in week 15 and 16. In year 1, the winning team will just take the money. Year 2 is when we'll implement the actual, there's a payout plus you would win the championship belt, as that's kind of the start of the season. Plus this year, with not only it being shortened, but with COVID and everything, like we're not going to have any COVID rules. So just roll with it. You know, if you can't field a complete roster, whatever, like we're doing this for the long term. So this season's going to be all goofy anyway, shortened, COVID, all that stuff. So if you end up winning when all is said and done, cool, you get the money, we move on to the off season.
Right.
Into year 2. So the first thing is a rookie draft. It's going to be 3 rounds, a snake draft. That's just a traditional draft. Based on where you draft the players, that's going to dictate what their contracts end up being. This will be online, so you'll be able to see what that is. But basically, like if you have the first overall pick, you're going to pay the most for that guy. The second round pick, slightly less, third round pick. So based on draft position,
you might not always, like we were talking about this a little bit ago, like how we would implement that rookie draft or how we would pick the order, if it would be the worst team or if we'd randomize it. So you might not even, depending on what your salary cap or how you're spending your money, you might not even want that top pick.
Well, then you could trade it.
Because that's what I'm saying. So you might not want to pay the money for that top guy.
But that's in the future. So year 1, we're just going to randomize. Right. And then we'll do, just like a normal draft, we'll randomize up to 12 people. You'll get the draft order, and then we'll do it normal snake draft, 3 rounds. You get a minute to pick. It should take less than an hour. So we should knock that out. Hopefully everyone received the email. We'll figure out a day to knock that out. Rookie contracts are 3 years. You will have the opportunity to do a 1-year extension at the end of those 3 years, but you can only do it on your first round pick. Just to be clear on that.
So the first round pick is the only guy that has the extension option.
It's going to be super crucial, especially now. Like we have some data, so it's going to be interesting how people kind of pick that.
It's almost, I mean, I'm not glad that we're starting in the middle of the year, but it does help from that standpoint.
In future years, the hope is that like next year we'll do the rookie draft the week after the actual NFL draft, as we think that adds a lot more like skill to it, because if we wait until right before the season, everyone kind of has their fantasy football ratings, who's like penciled in to start right after the rookie draft. Like if you look back at the preseason rookies and how they were ranked and everything like that, like there would have been a lot of guys picked in the first round who now, if you look at it, would be a bit questionable as to the value they're going to provide long term.
Right.
So after we complete this rookie draft, then we're going to have a free agent auction draft. The free agent auction draft is where we're going to basically draft all of the non-rookies to complete our roster. The way the system works, you can only sign 1 guy to a 4-year contract, 2 guys to a 3-year contract, 3 guys to a 2-year contract. The rest are 1 year.
Roster size?
Yeah, the roster size is 18, and there'll be 2 IR slots. With the IR, you can put anybody on IR, even people who aren't actually designated as IR in the NFL. The only thing is, once you place them on IR, they cannot come off, at least in year 1. We can change that in year 2, or you could do designated for reinstatement. Yeah. As the commissioner, you can manually override that. I can pull someone off IR. But year 1, they have to stay on IR. If you do that, though, you only have to pay 50% of the salary. So an example, Saquon, if you end up getting a great deal on him, maybe you decide he's going to be your 1 4-year deal. Obviously, you don't have him in year 1. You could put him on IR. You're only going to pay for the games you have him to that hit. So like year 1's already going to be prorated based on the games we play. Plus you're paying half of that. So it's not as large of a hit in year 1. You still have him lined up for 3 more years.
Okay.
So again, that kind of, now that we have data, it's going to be interesting because some of the guys who are hurt, seeing kind of where their values are and if that changes anything, will make it interesting. So when you're drafting, I recommend everyone
you have to select sorry to cut you off, but you need to select, and this is because can we edit the draft time? Because it was pretty quick before.
I could put up to 15 seconds for the free agent auction.
15 seconds?
Like once someone puts a new deal in, it goes up to 15 and counts down. Every time you make an offer, it goes back up to 15.
All right. And then you have to select, and part of the draft process is immediately when you're bidding is a contract length as well, right?
Correct. So you'll see the option, and this is why I recommend go do the free mock on Reality Sports, get an understanding of how this is going to work. When a player gets nominated, just like a regular auction, I throw up Zeke. You're going to see the option for 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 4 year. If I already signed someone to a 4-year contract, the 4-year option is going to be grayed out. So it won't let you go over the contract allotment. It also won't let you go over your salary cap. So if you, just like a regular auction, you blow your load early, you're only going to be able to sign basically people to league minimums for one year. So just keep that in mind as you're going. But then,
so there is strategy to it, kind of like a regular auction. Like you would maybe, if you already used your 4-year, you could, I guess, throw somebody up for auction because you're trying to get other people to use their 4 years also.
Yeah, exactly. Because they do have an algorithm built in where the player, it's almost like the algorithm's the player's agent, and it negotiates on behalf of the player. So it'll tell you, if I go to offer, if Logan offered a 4-year, I go to offer a 3-year, it'll pop up and say the player, there's a better offer out there, increase your offer.
Now, I guess we'll have to go through multiple mocks, but is it just like, do you think, you've done a few of them, right? Mm-hmm. Is it the length of the contract? Like, would a 4-year automatically win over a 3-year?
Well, they're basically looking at the amount of the guarantee, the length of the contract, and then they factor in like the player's age. So those things are factored in. So like an older guy may be more interested in, I guess he might be interested in more of a longer term guarantee.
Yeah.
Whereas a younger guy, that's where it's going to be factored in kind of there. But you have the ability, they tell you automatically, they'll tell you what the next best deal is for you to click. You can also manually enter in numbers next to it to increase that. So I would say, like, think about it like a Madden franchise. In free agency in Madden, when you're going to sign somebody, and the error pops up right there and it tells you, what it is. And right below, so they have 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 4 year. They tell you what the 2020, so what this year's cap hit will be. And right above it, they tell you what the total guarantee will be. It's important to know what the total guarantee is, because basically once you draft that guy, you're locked into that money. If I sign Zeke for 3 years, he ends up retiring mid-season, let's say, and I end up cutting him and nobody claims him off waivers or anything, which we'll get into that. I'm stuck with his deal. So now I take the cap hit for this year, and then it's 50% for all future years, and it all accelerates to next year's cap. So basically I would take a cap hit this year, and then whatever was left on his contract, 2-3 years, whatever I signed him for, add all, do 50%, add it all up, and it hits me
and
next
you're
year.
It the next year.
Yeah.
So you have to be careful with cutting people.
Correct. If you have someone on a multi-year contract, it's definitely first, just like in the real NFL. I mean, see if you have a trade partner. It's going to be your first thinking. If I trade him to you, I just paid what he actually played for me. Now you pay the rest.
Right.
You pick up his contract. Now, if I cut him, he goes to waivers, and the waivers are just like the NFL. The worst team gets first dibs all the way down, and it goes through. Everyone gets an option to claim him. If you decide to claim him off waivers, same thing. You pick up his contract, I'm free and clear.
Right.
If you don't, he hits free agency, and it's the way free agency once. So you go through waivers, they hit free agency. Now there's 1 day for everyone to submit a blind offer if you want to sign him. So you submit what you think would be your best offer. If nobody submits a best offer for him, the next day it becomes a free-for-all, and the player will automatically sign the league minimum, which is a 1 year, $500,000 contract.
Okay.
That's kind of how that whole again, you can read more about this on Reality Sports, and I mean, we can talk about the questions and stuff. That's more like probably off season. I don't know. In the shortened season, I think most people probably getting dropped will be guys who are like 1 year contracts. If anyone's in a situation, I mean, we're kind of deep into this. If you need to cut someone on a multi-year, that, you probably really messed up.
Yeah.
But when you're drafting, it's worth like considering all these variables. If you're going to go ahead and give someone your 4-year, you got to be thinking like you could be setting your franchise back. You get 1 4-year, 2 3 years. You mess up those 3 picks, your franchise could be set back for a while. You're not going to have salary cap.
Maybe trading those guys, like if they're bad deals,
right?
Like trade them to somebody, and you just be getting shitty 1-year players in return,
right? So in year 1. At the end of the season, we will have the option. You have the ability to do a franchise tag all the way up until basically rosters lock and people go into free agency 3 days before the rookie draft next year.
Okay.
So our league season, what we'll do is once the season ends and we crown a champion, we'll lock everything.
Looking forward to it.
We'll lock everything, and then technically our league year, our new league year, will start in January. Once that happens, rosters open up. You could start trading. You could start negotiating and figuring out what you want to do. Start, looking through, analyzing other teams, kind of seeing where they're at, cap space, who might be dropped, all of that. So going into year 2, you will have the option to do the franchise tag. You can franchise tag players for up to 3 seasons, but you can't do it for 4 consecutive seasons. And basically, just like the NFL, if you do decide to franchise tag, you're paying either the average of the 5 highest paid players at a given position or 120% of the player's previous year's salary. For the player's 3rd consecutive tag, the calculation changes to the greater of the highest calculated tag value at any position or 144% of the player's previous salary. So if you do a franchise tag for that year, you're going to be paying, the cap hit's going to be big. You're going to, the top 5 players at that position. So again, just like the NFL. Now, after year 2, we will start implementing where you can do contract extensions or into year 2. So once the season kicks off in year 2, you do have the ability to offer a contract extension to 1 player. Contract extensions are also pretty unique for this. Just like the NFL, you'll be able to negotiate from like weeks 3 to I think 12. And they have an algorithm again where it acts like the agent, and it will actively negotiate based on the player's performance. So if I have Zeke, he's coming into a contract year. Week 3 is when I can start negotiating with him. I wait until the final week 12, and from weeks 3 to 12, he's a top running back. The amount that he's requesting in week 12 is going to be significantly higher than what he wanted in week 3.
Okay. So
that's for year 2. It would
be the opposite as well, though, right?
They cannot take a pay cut.
Okay.
But if you think about value, you might be able to re-sign him for the same amount, or it's going to go up.
Okay.
That won't hit until season 2 in season.
Do we know about aging players yet? Like, if it's an aging player, so they'll never go down no matter what? For that?
Well, no. So, but that's the thing for extension. So if you think about it, like, okay, so the way they did this was you look at it and you say, well, I don't think, everyone kept re-signing. Let's say the value of who'd be a guy in their like 30s right now that got inflated up.
Okay.
Le'Veon, I don't know. Le'Veon's not that old, but let's just say Le'Veon Bell, because he was previously a top guy, and now like someone's been stuck with him for the last 2 years in New York, and he has the option now to contract it. He's going to want what he previously made, which would probably be egregious. So
that's what you just say.
You cut bait, cut bait, yeah. And then when he's a free agent, then you can decide, in the off season, since basically if you think about it, in year 1, since you have 1 guy on a 4-year, 2 guys on a 3-year, and 3 guys on a 2-year, you're going to have 6 guys coming back, plus the ability to franchise tag 1.
Right.
That's 7. Plus 3 rookies that are on 3-year contracts. So that is 10. Okay. Our roster size is 18 plus potentially 2 IRs if you want to use that. So at least 18 or at least 8, potentially 10 players from teams that were on 1-year deals will be going back into free agency.
And I know you said it earlier. So if people want to, because my initial fear would be people just hoarding 2 guys on their IR. They're also, you mentioned before, they're paying though. Like they would be paying 50% of that contract.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So it's not just, you would be paying if you want to keep 2 extra players.
Right. I kind of view it like once the league gets rolling, most people will probably use those 2 IR slots on probably like 2 of their rookie draft picks.
Right.
Like if I drafted Tua, he's going to be on my IR.
Yeah.
Like that's probably how it's going to go. So potentially though, 8 to 10 players from each team will be going back into free agency because they were on 1-year deals and they can't be extended. So as we head into the off season in year 2, by the time we'll go through another rookie draft, then we would do another free agency, and that would be where all those players that were returned are there. Okay. And then it's the same thing as this draft's going to be that we're about to do with all players. It would be the same thing, just with the players that were available, like so free agency.
Maybe a couple guys that were too expensive to keep on, and then a lot of like mid-tier guys, guys you'd be signing to 1 or 2 year deals.
Yeah, but
there'd be big players in there.
I think there'd be big players in there.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, ultimately, when you just think about the numbers and the amount of people who pop up that didn't go in as guys like in the draft, like I'm just trying to think of someone as an example off the top of my head, but people that might have been drafted later, like I don't know that people later in rounds, if you think about auction drafts that were drafted less than $20, like a David Johnson probably would win for a 1-year deal. Yeah. No one was really ultra high on him. So, I mean, that could be a starting running back for a team that, was worth picking up. Who knows? A Keenan Allen could have potentially been there, a guy who kind of fell in a lot of drafts. It was kind of a mid-tier receiver. So I think that's where it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Right. Plus, if someone decides they want to, maybe someone decides to cut someone that was on a 2-year deal and they just take the hit. So
that makes sense.
That could be value for you as well. So I think that's kind of the basic outlining. When the season starts, I kind of already touched on how like ads and drops go. It first goes to a waiver system if someone's dropped, then a blind free agent auction for a day, and then after that it's a free for all. Then the player locks.
Yeah.
And then it goes to the next week where, again, on the first day of free agency is a blind offer. So it'd be like on Tuesday, you could submit your best offers. And then if no one submitted them, then by Wednesday or Thursday, you could sign them for the league minimum.
Right.
Or Friday, whatever. If he played on Sunday, it could be Friday, Saturday, Sunday. He plays Sunday, he locks. Tuesday, free. So if there is a guy who's on no roster that goes off, it's not like people could just jump and go get him for the league minimum. There would be that blind, like fab, pretty much.
Yeah.
Free agent bucks. Okay, I think how long was that?
I was just thinking it's going to be weird because there's no app. That was what I was thinking.
Is there not one for them?
I don't know. I mean, it's not a huge deal. I was just thinking, just random thought that it's going to be weird.
Yeah, so I mean, with reality sports, obviously the scoring and everything will be on there, but I don't know. I mean, if you're already on ESPN, like the scoring is going to be similar probably to most leagues. So that's the other thing. I mean, we'll start with 4 points for a QB touchdown, 6 for running backs and receivers, 1 point PPR. The defense rules will be pretty similar to most leagues, kickers, all that. I'll send over the full league rules. One thing that we're throwing around in the future, like as a commissioner, I don't want to be in a situation where it's like one person's running the league and trying to make decisions. I would like to see a council system where basically 3 league owners are nominated and elected to a council. They get 2-year terms. And then any issue that comes up, if you want to change, like I say, I want to change QB touchdowns from 4 to 6 points. I want the council to vote on that. If 2 of the 3 members on the council vote yes, we will do that, then we'll update the rules.
Okay.
And again, it's 2-year terms, so if someone is on the council that has different ideology on how points in the game and everything like that, after 2 years, obviously, you can try to elect someone else to that. And that just keeps it as, instead of tracking down 12 people and, there's 50 different ideas on how we should do the league and which one should we vote on, which one should we not vote on. It's just a team of 3 people. That I can bring anything I want voted on to you guys, and you guys can 2 of 3 accept to move that on. I will just step in if I felt like there was something that was absolutely egregious, like something was voted on and
Yeah, I mean, it's just,
somehow
I feel
the
like
whole
3
league-
people isn't like 2 people saying yes to something isn't a lot though.
Yeah, I mean, we could do 5.
That's what
and
I was thinking, 5.
It has to be 4 of 5, so it's
I think that, yeah,
okay. So that's an idea I felt like we'd talk about in the off season, though. I mean, for
Right.
now, just getting
Yeah, it
the
doesn't
league
matter right
up
now.
and getting everything going, we can kind of see how things are running. Because I'm sure after we do this 1 year and we're kind of getting a feel for it, there's going to be people with different ideas on maybe how we should approach this.
right.
Even, I mean, the league name, do we want to go with more? We can do expansion teams if we do that. How are the expansion rules going to work? Payouts, buy-ins, and then the actual scoring system. Do we want to do more contract extensions, less contract extension? We could do more rounds to the rookie draft. We could change the length of rookie contracts. We could do the IR designated for reinstatement. Like, there's so many different ways to cut this
Right.
that the league will evolve over time. But so I do think that in general, whatever, 3, 5 people, just having a council or system there where it's easy to go through all of the various ideas and have people voting on them instead of all 12 team members. But we'll also try to do some type of messaging system. We don't know yet. Text, Slack, something. As everyone really needs to be involved and have everyone's contact info, because the whole point of this is this should be pretty active with trades. In terms of draft picks, you can only trade 2 years in advance draft picks. That kind of protects, if someone comes in and trades all their draft picks for the next 2 years and then decides to bounce from the league, that we are, it's easy to get someone to come in and take over their team,
Right.
Where they can't just screw the
Please
league.
join our league. You don't have any draft picks for the next 5 years.
Right. So that will be implemented as well. And then, I think that kind of covers it. If anyone has any specific questions, email those over. I put on there, please let me know if you're in for sure via email by tomorrow at 12 Eastern. That would be Wednesday at 12 Eastern. Submit your team name by Thursday, and then send me over like 3 to 4 days times that work for you. Again, we have to do a rookie draft, which should be like an hour. It should go really quick. And then the free agent auction to fill out your roster, that will take a good amount of time. That would be one where if maybe a Saturday where we have plenty of time or something, or we can stay up late, like that would be a better one to do.
Yeah. All right.
All right, cool. On to episode 2.